Okay, we are live. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope everyone's had a very good Tuesday. Hope everyone enjoyed their weekend, their long weekend, and I'm positive none of us really enjoyed last night. Now, look, I'm going to get talking tonight. This isn't going to be so much as like reporting on the news or looking into what the stories are going to be. This is more just going to be like my opinions, your opinions, everyone's venting, frustrations, and yeah, I know there's been a lot of negativity put out there in the last 24 hours. There's been a lot of negativity out there for the last 6 months at this football club. Fundamentally, things are not good on the pitch. They haven't been good off the pitch for a long time. The foundations of success have not been there. The squad has a minimum level of finishing 6th or 7th. That is the floor of this team, and it's not like a Manchester City team or a Liverpool team or an Arsenal team at the minute whose floor would be in a very bad season they would still finish top 4 or in a top 4 race. You know, you look at Liverpool last season, that was a very poor season for them by their standards, and make no mistake about it, their floor was to compete in the top 4 race. United's floor, our bottom level, is what we're seeing right now. It doesn't get worse. Our bottom level is finishing around 7th, 8th in the league. That's what it's going to be, unfortunately, and it's kind of hard to process. It's kind of hard, like, really to contextualize. I guess you got to look at the numbers. -2 goal difference, not good. Worse points return than what David Moyes got for Manchester United whenever he was manager. Let me just move my camera real quick. Yeah, worse points return than what Moyes got when he was manager. On track for the worst ever Premier League points tally in United history. We need 4 points from the last 9 available to at least match that season we got under Ralph Rangnick. We are on course to break that. We've had a million injuries this year. Some have been self-inflicted, some have not been self-inflicted. It's just such a frustration, guys. I mean, I cannot see a way that Erik Ten Hag continues. I really can't. And I say this as someone who's a big backer of the guy last year. I said as somebody who thought for a lot of this season, he still has the time to turn it around. He has the ability to turn it around. He can turn it around. Will he turn it around? And then it suddenly become, I don't think he can. And I think you just got to look at it. Last night was just completely hapless, and it felt like that 4-0 defeat we got at Goodison Park against Everton when Moyes got sacked. It felt like that loss against Watford when Ole got sacked. It felt like that game against Liverpool when Jose Mourinho got sacked. And if it wasn't for the fact that we have 3 matches left in the league and an FA Cup final, if it wasn't for the fact we had 4 matches left, I think Ten Hag might be gone by this stage. I don't think he's going to be here next season, and I think there's genuinely very little possibility of that happening. I really think this is the end of Erik Ten Hag of Manchester United. And I say this as a manager who last season had a lot of faith under ours. He was inspiring belief in me that I didn't have from the seasons before. We won a trophy, and it felt like everything was going in the right direction. Yeah, the football maybe wasn't always great, but we were picking up results. We were spirited, and we at least took a pragmatic style of playing football. I don't know what's happened this season, and I think books are going to be written upon what's happened this season at this football club. And from the top to the bottom, if you guys want my thoughts on the poll, I can't vote my own poll, but it's pretty much everybody. This is accumulation of decades worth of bad investments, poor squad management, and poor leadership of our football club. And it's also going to be the immediate bad results on the pitch from the players and from the manager as well. It's like I said, a bad season for Liverpool. They finished 5th. They compete for a top 4 and they almost get in it. A bad season for City. They probably finish 2nd and probably win a trophy or 2. United's floor is to finish 7th or 8th. We have to be good to finish in the top 5 or 6. We have to be really good to finish in the top 4, and that's the kind of levels that we've had to reach to as well. So a lot of work needs done. It's going to be a big summer for us. I can see Jarl commented down below something about players leaving on free. Yeah, there's going to be players going on a free. There has to be a lot of players moved on this summer, and it's one of those, as much as I want to be accountable and as much as I don't like the idea of sacking yet another manager, I have to put it out there that if you're going to hold the players accountable for playing bad on the pitch, if you want to hold the board accountable for the bad way this club has been run, if you want to hold the guys doing the transfers for the abject failure in the last 10-15 years in terms of player recruitment, then you also have to extend that to the manager for the bad results on the pitch this season. And as bad as what the injuries have been, as bad as what some of the form has been, we should not be in this position that we are right now. At the very least, we should have a positive goal difference. At the very least, we should be over 60 points by this stage. And at the very least, we should be beating that worst ever Premier League points tally. And for the same reason that Ollie had to go, I think Ten Hag has to go. And I really can't argue with it. And I know people will have strong emotions about it. People will say he's a bald fraud. People will say that he's an idiot. People will say he needs to get sacked right now, that he's never had a clue. It's just gone horribly wrong. He has clearly backed his methods. He has backed himself, and it has backfired. He hasn't wanted to change what he's been trying to do on the pitch. He hasn't attempted to do that. And ultimately, he's going to pay the price for it. He's tried to stick to what he thinks is right for this team, and it's just been wrong. And I think that's going to be a big part of it as well, the stubbornness out there. Now, I have loads of comments down here below. I'm going to go through a load of these. Anyway, let me see who I got. I got Bart. Let's be fair, a lot of blame has to go. You can blame each and every party involved, the players, Ten Hag, negotiation, medical staff, even the Glazers. I would agree with that. You all said United are looking at players 1 year left in their contracts and free agents. Don't expect much this summer. Next summer will be a different story. I think we're going to have a big summer, man. I do. Bart says last few seasons have been quite competitive for the top, and ties like West Ham, Brighton, Newcastle, Villa, all vying for top spaces. United need to up their game. That's what I mean, man. I mean, you know, we at the very least, you know, we should be finishing in the top 5 or 6 teams in the league. Like, we're going to finish close to mid-table. Gaz says how anyone could back the fraud manager at this club is truly finished. Y'all said Moyes actually got 64 points. It's strange he got 7 with that many points. It is. Gaz said the only process is Ten Hag out the door. It's one of those, man. You know, a lot of changes are going to be needed. It's not just going to be the manager. You know, you got to look at this team as well, and you have to be ruthless with it. It's one of those. You know, you cannot have a team full of injury-prone players. You can't have a team full of players constantly getting injured, because availability is one of the most important things. And if we had an available back four, maybe you would concede less goals. I don't know. I still think there's massive issues in the way that we're set up as a team as well. Gaz is down there. Ten Hag is a con man. Bart said Klopp was backed after finishing 8th. He's ridiculed for celebrating a point versus West Brom. Arteta was mocked after finishing 8th twice in a row. Could this be a bitter pill United need to swallow? I don't think we're gonna swallow it, man. I think we're gonna change. I think we're gonna shift on it. Ronnie said the manager has to go. I give him time. I backed him, but no more. He has to go. Bart said United cannot sack 80% of their squad in one window like some fans want. No, I agree, man. And it's one of those, you know, as much as we want to say let's sell 15, 20 players, you know, you need to find people willing to buy them as well. You know, it's not just a simple matter of saying, yeah, okay, you're sold. Like, we need to find someone to actually buy these players as well. So we're going to have to take losses on that. That's going to affect stuff. That's going to affect budgets. That's going to affect everything. But I don't know, guys. Like, I really don't. Guy says Moyes didn't even finish the season. Got more points than Ten Hag. Yeah, probably has done at this point in time, man. It's not good. Like, it's really not good. Chatsport said Ten Hag gets a sack. United are looking at another 2 or 3 season rebuild. We're looking at a 2-3 season rebuild regardless. That's why I think that they might pull the trigger on this managerial change at the minute. And I mean, if we want to get talking about players, you know, it's not too hard to look at last night's performance and say who needs to go. You know, you look at Casemiro, you look at Eriksen. Those are 2 players who were key for us last year who you think you got to move on at this point. You look at Wan-Bissaka, so clearly just not good enough in so many ways. Johnny Evans playing injured last night, but I mean, Johnny Evans isn't the solution for us. You know, you look at that forward line, Anthony, abysmal. Garnacho, poor. Højlund, pretty anonymous. You look at the bench, you're turning to like under 18s, under 21s. You've so many players you could let go from that team. You've so many players, really do. And I think if you want to hold people accountable, you got to go players, manager, board, whatever. I think it's just the accumulation of so many years of bad management within the club, within how we buy players, what players we buy, the managers we get. It's a combination. Like in the immediate term, yeah, you know, you look at Ten Hag. In the long run, you probably look beyond Ten Hag and say this isn't the first time we've been this situation, and if we don't change a lot of things, it won't be the last time either. Sims down there, everyone laughs at Chelsea like they bought 35 players and they're above United. Yeah, they are above. They're above us as well. Like, that's what I mean. You know, they're ahead of us now, and who knows who else is going to finish ahead of us. West Ham could finish ahead of us. You know, we genuinely could lose the next 3 matches. We play Newcastle, Brighton, and Arsenal. Like, I don't fancy us against any of those teams. Like, I really, really don't. And you know, it's one of those, like, can we even get a point out of that there? On current form, no. Newcastle are playing well. Brighton away has always been hard for us, and Arsenal are going for a league title. Like, it's very real possibility that we lose every match at the end of the season, because we play those 3 teams. We play City in the cup final. Like, that's what it's coming down to. And I don't want to be negative. I've tried to be as positive as I can be on this channel, and you know. Maybe if I screamed and threw chairs about and slammed the desk and stuff, like, stuff would go better on here. I don't know. But I mean, I'm looking at it. We're playing Arsenal on Sunday. We play Newcastle on Wednesday. That's in a week's time. And then we play Brighton. There's only 3 matches left in this league season. Then you have, of course, the FA Cup final, May 25th. That might be a day to go out and have a lot of drinks if you're going to be watching that there, to be honest with you. It's probably not going to be a pretty match. It's probably not going to be pretty at this rate of going. Ronnie says, what's the betting players who say their injuries will be okay for a cup final? I'll not hold it against them. And the reason I'll say that there is because you know, it's practically 3 weeks away at this point, so I'm not too bothered about that there. I think you do have a lot of genuine injuries in this team as well, and I think it's frustrating because even last night, you know, we're seeing clips from other channels talking about players lying about being injured and stuff and deflecting the blame and stuff. I just don't get it. Like, I really don't. Anyway, on the poll, I'm sure the most popular vote's going to be all of the above and the board. It is at the minute. Players are up there as well. Managers up there. I just think it's such a frustration, guys, because it's like what I said earlier on. For a bad season for Liverpool, they're going to finish 4th or 5th. Last season was a bad finish. They almost got into top 4. A bad season for City, they win an FA Cup, a League Cup, and they finish 2nd. That's considered a bad season for them. And that's because the level of their team is of that high that if they have a big drop-off, that's as far as they can fall. You look at other teams as well. If they have a bad season, they'll probably still finish off that. A bad season for United, we genuinely come down like a lead balloon. We hit the ground, and we hit the ground hard, and there's no getting away from that fact that the minimum level of this team just isn't good enough. And that's a big problem. That's been a problem for a long time, and that doesn't happen overnight. That just doesn't happen under Erik Ten Hag's reign. That happens from 10 years ago. That happens from 5 years ago. That happens from 2 years ago when Ten Hag took over. That happens with the recruitment we've had. We've had so many busts, so many bad signings as well. That's going to filter into it. Erik Ten Hag is very much responsible for what's happened this season. 18 defeats across this season, minus goal difference. We're sitting with 54 points. We are on for the worst ever Premier League's points tally in the history of Manchester United Football Club. That is on the manager. That's going to be on the players. It's not Joel Glazer training the team. It's not Avram Glazer playing the goals for us. It's not Ed Woodward up front. It's not Richard Arnold in the middle of the pitch. It's our own players, and they are to blame for the in-match stuff. The manager is to blame for the cumulative in-match stuff, for the bad performances, the bad results. That comes down to the manager. That comes down to the players. Whenever you look at the whole 10 years, you have to look above them. Who's presided over it all? Who hasn't changed it? You look at the board. You look at the Glazers. And that's what's going to come down to. And I don't want to be like one of those people who just sit and scream Glazers out every time something goes wrong. But it is an important side note to cover as well. Pretty much everything going wrong at this club over the last 10, 15, 20 years can be traced back to the ownership. Hopefully this is the beginning of something new, and hopefully we won't be having to have this conversation again. Hopefully we won't be sitting in this position in 2 or 3 years' time. Now look, if we're looking at other managers, the big name at the minute is Thomas Tuchel. This is everywhere at the minute, and it does look like you could see Erik Ten Hag leave Manchester United and Thomas Tuchel come in. Bayern Munich seem to be interested in Ten Hag. Tuchel wants to come to United. It could just be a very simple matter of that there. He's leaving Bayern anyway. There's not going to be a compensation package to pay there. United just get him in. And Tuchel, for as frustrating a time he's had at Bayern, as frustrating a time he had at Chelsea, is a very good manager, a very good coach. And whenever he's allowed to just be a coach, he's very, very good. And he's had the misfortune of working under a lot of broken systems. Hopefully, if he comes to United, we got a proper system for once. But that's what it's coming down to. I don't know if it's going to be that kind of a deal. I don't know how it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks and months. That's going to be up for us to react. I think at the minute we just got to look at it and look at the cold, hard facts that on the pitch from the players, from so many of them, it hasn't been good enough from the first day of the season until match day 35. It's not been good enough. And the manager, it's not been good enough from match day 1 to match day 35. Even if you want to go back to last year, you look at the form after that League Cup final, big drop off as well. Big drop off, something like 65-70% win rate before that, something like 50% afterwards. Big drop off there, and that's continued this season. We got a minus goal difference after 35 matches. We have 54 points. I mean, I really don't have to spell it out. You guys are smart. You guys have seen it. You guys know that things are not good at this team right now, and they're not good for this football club right now. And it's going to take a hell of a rebuild, unfortunately, to get there. And the reason that I will say that there, and the reason that I think it's going to have to be done, is because even if Ten Hag stays here, you're still looking at a rebuild, because this team is falling apart. This team is going to lose 4 or 5 players on free transfers this year. It's going to sell 4 or 5 players as well, hopefully more. You're going to have players going out on loan, and you're looking at a rebuild regardless of what you do. Is it easier to take the manager out and put somebody new in who would be Ineos' choice? It probably is, and that's probably what they're going to do. I think if Ten Hag has been on an addition for the last 6 months under Sir Jim Ratcliffe's beginning of this new ownership, then I think he's probably well and truly filled said addition by this point. That's my opinion, but I don't know. Chat Sports in there backing Ten Hag for next season. Can't see it. I just can't see it. Ronnie said, what do you think if Keane is a stand-in manager to the next games and FA Cup final? No, Keane will not take shit for domestic or big head players. One of those, it's like you've Jose Mourinho saying he would walk back to Manchester for the job. I've got part-time down there. Ed Woodward is a generational left-back that is a box-to-box bloodhound and can invert like a second phase lightsaber. He's just something else, man. Big up, Scott. If Glazers are still here, rebuild would take 8 to 10 years. It's one of those, according to the most recent reports, it looks like Ineos are having effective ownership of the club, and the Glazers are having a say in the commercial stuff, and they're looking to take their money. I think that's really what's happening here. I think I feel more confident with that. I still think it's going to be a long process. I still think next season it's not going to be good either. I don't think we're going to be pulling up any trees next season. But if you want my honest prediction for what can happen, I don't think we finish in any European football spaces. And I think that we use that as an excuse to trim down the squad, those extra 4 or 5 players. And next season, you probably bring a lot of young players in this transfer window. Bring players in, let them settle in and work on the foundations of your team with your manager. And then you start to really build something the season after. I think that's a more realistic time period, a more realistic time frame. Obviously, look, things can go really well. If you want to look at some examples, you look at Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham under Ange this season, they're 5th at the minute. They're 7 points off. They're not going to get top 4, unfortunately, for them. Aston Villa will pip them to it, but no doubt about it, they're in a good position. If they have another strong window, they could be a top 4 team again, and then who knows what happens from there. So I think you want to have a groundwork laying season, and I think that's probably what we're looking at next year. I don't think the expectation is going to be for us to chase down Man City or chase down Arsenal, chase down Liverpool, any of those teams like that. I think it will be just to build a stable foundation of a core of players who can play. Because right now, the core we have, the spine we have, it just ain't working. It's just not working. Guys, I got loads of people in the stream here. Drop a like and make sure to hit that poll button as well. Let me know your thoughts about this season. Who you guys thinking is big issues? What do you guys think is a real thing to blame here? Because we know it's not just Ten Hag. We know it's not just the players. I think it's everything. From the top to the bottom, I just think so much needs to be done at our football club to make us what we need to be again, to get us to where we need to be on the pitch. And I think you're looking at the result of 10, 15 years of really bad ownership, really bad leadership, really bad management of one of the greatest football clubs in the world. And it's a damn shame to see us where we are at the minute. But we have to hope that something can happen, that there can be some kind of positivity in the next couple of years, and we can start to hopefully build towards something. Because how much worse can it get? I might live to regret those words. Maybe we'll end up in a year's time relegated, and someone will crop that up. I don't know. Jordy's down there. Hello. Yesterday was embarrassing. It was, man. Like, it's one of those, and Newcastle is a prime example of what can happen with an ownership, and how much an ownership can change things in a relatively short period of time. And I'm hoping that we can have a similar impact. I think this season, it's been a write-off for months. It really has. And I think you start to look beyond this year's season, and you say, next season, what's our targets? What's our goals? What do we look at? And I think what you want to have is a stable foundation. I think what you want to have is a base style of play. What you want to have is an idea of the team you want to become. I don't think you do it all in one season. As much as I would love to say we go out there and spend 500 million in the summer, we buy 10 new players in, they all come in and gel, and we go on and we win the treble next year. As much as I want to do that, as much as I want to say we could do that there, that'll be a domestic treble, of course. We probably won't be in Europe. As much as I want to do that, I don't know. It's just not going to happen. Sim says the owners are still here. Yeah, they are. And that's the thing. Like, they're not fully gone yet. And it's one of those, there's a light at the end of the tunnel in many senses. But, you know, a long way to go. A long way to go with it. A long, long way to go. Jordy's on their defense is violated by Palace. Should get rid of majority of the players. We should do, but it's very hard to move them on because of how much we pay those guys. The amount of money we pay in wages every single week means that big players and big wages who nobody wants is going to have to be moved on by letting their contracts run down. Bad times coming in from some Mexican journalist in France. Could be close to someone at Nice, but just trying to get his follower count up. Bad time. What is this, buddy? What am I missing? Maybe I've missed something. I don't know. There was some stupid story came out anyway about Anthony calling Ten Hag an egghead or something in the changing room yesterday from an account that hadn't tweeted since 2016. So I think we can ignore those stories. Anyway, guys, most people are going with the players as to who to blame for this season, and you know it's hard not to look at a lot of them as well. To be fair, I just don't know. Like, I really don't. I think there's so many issues on there. Santi Iona says Gareth Southgate top target is next head coach. It's just not true. It's an odd story. The favourite for the job's Thomas Tuchel, and it's not even close. Like, it's really not even close in my opinion. Let me see. Bath time. Bart said down there. Sorry, Bart said. Let's be honest. Glasner is a good manager. Crystal Palace did a huge coup by getting his signature. Both Elisa and Eze added a few zeros to their valuations yesterday. Yeah, it's true, but thankfully Elisa has got a buyout clause. But man, someone's going to have to pay him a lot of money, and everybody's telling us that we're going to be getting him and it's guaranteed, and you know it's nailed on. You know, you have to look at it from the point of view that everybody's going to have watched Elisa this season and think that they fancy a bit of that. Carpi says if Tuchel takes over, it could be a disaster. Sack from Chelsea and PSG, and a one-team league in Bayern can't win. Getting this sack recruitment and bad fallout, terrible. Look, I think as a coach, he's really, really good. As a manager, you question his recruitment, but if you run through his clubs, he has been very unlucky at just about everywhere he's been. He really has. You look at Borussia Dortmund, he fell out with their CEO over a terrorist attack on the Borussia Dortmund team bus, where their CEO wanted them to play the match after 3 bombs were detonated by the side of the road. I mean, that's kind of a bit ridiculous. And then he goes to PSG. He felt like with Leonardo, who walked into the dressing room many times at PSG and barked out orders at the players. This is your sporting director. So it's no surprise he left. And Leonardo was sacked shortly thereafter. Then after that he went to Chelsea. He won the Champions League at Chelsea. He made every cup final possible in his time there as well. And then ultimately he ran into Todd Boehly. Like, you can't blame anyone for Todd Boehly. And then you look at Bayern Munich. Yeah, it's not pretty good this season for Tuchel at Bayern, but you have to look at the real circumstances behind that. That's a Bayern team in transition that their structure is falling down around them. They sacked Julian Nagelsmann for no reason whatsoever. They barely won the Bundesliga last season. They won it on the last day, and they should have won it. And yeah, they came up against a really good Bayer Leverkusen team, but they have a points tally that most seasons would probably win them the Bundesliga as well. I don't think he's perfect, but I'll cut him some slack. Like I will. I'll take things into account. Now, bad time. Last 5 minutes, loads of tweets about Southgate basically being a done deal. Nah, I don't believe that, buddy. I really don't believe it. Haven't seen anything reliable. So I'm gonna leave it. Leave the Twitter news for where it is. It will not be Gareth Southgate. Promise. Sim said, Kolraniak, Spaghetti, nothing. Bart said, have you ever tried Orchata? It's a rice-based, cinnamon-flavored, refreshing drink. No, I haven't, buddy. I might have to try this. Bart loves to give me cultural recommendations. Bart, do you know anything, any traditional Portuguese dishes? I'm going to Porto in 2 weeks. If you got anything, let me know. What is Scotland? I think it's a bit about Ten Hag doesn't help himself. No, he doesn't. I don't think there was much. I don't think there's much choice yesterday. But I mean, he could have played a left-footed centre back and a right-footed centre back out of what he got on the bench. We didn't have to put Amrabat on for Anthony. You could have put Ahmad on for that. Bad time. Leonardo ended up being the guy whose nose he broke in years 94. Sim said Sancho was on that bus. He probably was as well. Bart said, on a serious note, United do have 4 to 5 quote-unquote good players in their XL. The key is the shape the spine. Yeah, it is. I mean, I was on... I tuned into a watch-along yesterday, and like, without being offensive, somebody said United's spine, the spine of our team has got scoliosis or something, and it was... It was so true, and yet it's just one of those things that, like, it's just really bad as well. I don't know. Jarl said Ten Hag was in the Bayern shortlist. He's not on the shortlist anymore. It looks like Southgate is back. They will pick Tuchel if they choose a manager. I think they'll go for him, and the reason I think they'll go for Tuchel is because it just makes the most sense. He's leaving Bayern Munich. He's a very good manager. And I mean, within 2 minutes, you got Santi Awonya saying United bosses are convinced Southgate is the right coach for the overhaul. 1 minute later, Pete Hall said Tuchel is the front runner to replace Erik Ten Hag if he is sacked. You know, it's one of those there ones. Sim said, get some octopus. I might have to try some, to be honest. I really would. Chat said, Garnacho, Manu, Martinez, Rasmus, Bruno, Dallo, that's a start. Yeah, I mean, I think you're pushed beyond that. I do think you're pushed. Chatsport did Ten Hag will stay. I just can't see it, guys. I really can't. Carpe is down there. No way. They will pick Tuchel. Too many paper stories. More chance of Mourinho coming back. And Jarl said no, Bayern took a red card and stroked it over Eric. A red pen. I just don't know. Look, I really doubt it's going to be Gareth Southgate as our manager, to be honest. I think that's a scare tactic, because every time... And I mean, every time we have a bad result, every time we got a bad performance, we end up getting linked to Gareth Southgate almost as a way to scare United fans into not wanting Erik Ten Hag to go, or not thinking that he should go, because they're scared of the alternative. Yeah, I just don't believe it. I really don't. Guys, thanks very much for 14 likes. Let's see if we can get those up anyway. We'll still get up to 20 likes as well. Got lots of stuff planned this week as well. Inio said... Innie's one of the best in class. Tuchel the best. No way Tuchel is leaving. Standing to Liverpool if he's meant to be that good. Warren Delling, Tim. I don't know. If they're getting Arne Slot, and seemingly they wanted Amorim as well before Slot, but it is what it is. You know, there's not really much we can do for that there one. Bad time. Tuchel, one of the only managers who got 30 separate clubs to Champions League semi-finals. He's just a well-adapted manager, I think, and I think he's a good coach. Like, I do. I think he'd be a good option for us. Jarl said Amorim has not yet found a new job. No, he hasn't. And I mean, you could go in there. I don't know what's happening with him in West Ham. There was talks about that at one point, but now they've gone with Lopetegui. I don't know. I mean, Amorim is possibly back on the cards for United as well as a potential option as well. Tim said, I like you're always doing a job. I always like you're doing a job. I missed something, did I? I don't know. Bart said as well, Ten Hag looks shattered mentally, has to really dilute his vision for the club. Yeah, I just think he looks done, man. Like, I really do, and I just can't see any way any way back from at all. And it's one of those. It's like I've said a few times this season. If he wasn't bald already, he would be bald by now. I just think he looks kind of exasperated, and I feel bad for the guy in a lot of ways because I've really supported him at times as well. Uh, Scott finds the funny side of it. Bart says as well, let's not forget United were not the fittest under Jose, Ollie and Ralph. No wonder getting injuries now. Yeah, but it was never this bad. And other clubs have had a lot of things. Sim says good job. Thanks very much, man. Appreciate it. Anyway, I guess some of the real topics and the real highlights that we can talk about, I guess, is probably the academy. Like again, last night, you saw Ethan Whitley come on. And it was good to see. And we've seen other young players as well coming on. I think I think I would like to see some players just given an opportunity because we literally have nothing to play for at this point. There is nothing whatsoever to pay. Apparently, we're set to hold concrete talks with Michael Elisa. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, I think he's fantastic. Like, I really do. Connor's down there, and he was back. Ten Hag. Connor, buddy, I just can't see it. Like, I really can't. I just think they'll take a look at it from the point of view that if the players aren't good enough, then the manager's probably not going to be good enough as well. And they're going to want to move everybody on and bring their own people in. But look, Gareth Southgate will not be the manager because he has no experience managing a club. He's no experience being a head coach at a club of Manchester United stature. He's been the England manager, and England get to every tournament guaranteed. They get an easy draw in the groups every time guaranteed. And every time they've come up against someone halfway decent, England have been beaten under Gareth Southgate. It's absolutely nailed on that England should have won at least one World Cup or a European Championship in the last 6 years, and they haven't won anything. So it's not going to happen. At bad time down there, only 3 managers got 3 separate clubs to semi-finals. He is the outstanding candidate. Yeah, he is. But Joe, I'll ask you, man, because this will be a big question for you. Do you like how Thomas Tuchel uses his fullbacks in a back four system? Let me know, because I know that's a big thing for De Zerbi. Is you don't like the use of the fullbacks in his Brighton system, but are you happy with Tuchel's use of fullbacks? Because he's a manager. When at Chelsea played a 3 at the back, sometimes his football wasn't most entertaining. Chelsea did still win the Champions League under him and played pretty well. Like, it was a weird time in football as well, the lockdown seasons, Bart is on there. Who do you think are the moulds at the club? Is it the English players or the foreign ones or both? Let's not forget that the rot at United is deeper than what Arsenal and Liverpool had. I think it's a lot of both, but I think you will have some English players going on to their agents. But I actually think, and putting pieces together, that one of the big quote-unquote moulds or leaks of information is people connected to the SEG agency, and that definitely is having a big income, a big effect on what you're seeing in the press and what you're seeing online, and these rumors going out and stuff as well. Scott said Crapgate needs sacked from management. No, absolutely not, man. Like, I'm not having them to all, Scott. Like, I'm not going to take Gareth Southgate of all people to be Manchester United manager. I would sooner make Steve McLaren manager. Connor said Ten Hag in. Bad Time said the mole is Donny. Perhaps he is. Perhaps. Who knows? Anything could be possible. Maybe we can do that there. Maybe I'll do that there for a stream. We'll play a game of Cluedo. Who did it? And we'll uncover the mole together. We'll get all the players on a board, and we will figure out who whacked Erik Ten Hag. Bad Time as well. United are the easiest team to play against in the league. Yeah, they are. Without a shadow of a doubt, we are one of the worst coached and easiest teams to play against in the league. And it's one of those, for a long time, people online and some of the discourse you've seen around the club was, other clubs must try harder against United because they play really well against United, and then all of a sudden they go out the next week and get smashed. Or it'll be like Burnley turning up against United at Old Trafford and then all of a sudden going out and losing like 7-0 in their next match to Fulham. Like, that's kind of what you're talking about as well sometimes. Sim said the mole is Phil Jones. Phil Jones is gone at last, buddy. Don't worry. Don't you worry. Guys, thanks very much for 15 likes as well. Make sure to hit the sub button if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it. as well. Helps the channel out so much. And yeah, look, we got 15 likes on today's stream. Connor said, remember, Arteta needed 3 years to build a team. He did, but I think there was more signs of progress. I think that's something that's big. We look hapless, clueless, and confused out there at the very best of times. And I just think, where's the progress? Whenever it was Arsenal, it was a case of, once they got their defence sorted out, they managed to get up there. Once they managed to start scoring goals, they ended up challenging for league titles. They're top of the league now because of it. The same happened at Liverpool. They were a team that initially worked towards pressing football. There was a team then that started to score a lot of goals, but concede a lot of goals. And then they went out and got Van Dijk. They went out and got Fabinho. They went out and got Alisson. And then all of a sudden they were a team that could win things. That's kind of the difference here. Where's our signs of progress? I feel like we're getting worse. That's my problem. And I can only give my opinion on what's out there and what information has been put out into the media at the minute. And yeah, look, a lot of it's going to be negative. A lot of it's going to be Ten Hag, bad stories, because it's an easy thing to write about at the minute. But I think based on this season, it's so hard to say where's the positive. Something Arsenal fans said for a long time, they got banter over it, was trust the process. I just wonder, where is our process? Like, where are we getting? Where are we going? What is the destination? Because right now it feels like we started going this way, and now all of a sudden we've done a complete 180 and we've gone back further than where we've came. It's like 3 steps forward, 15 steps back. That's what I feel like we're at this moment in time. Because this is as bad as I can ever remember it being. This is as bad as that Ralph Rangnick season, and we were on course to have less points this season than we did then. And that's, for me, is a big issue as well. It is. Batam does not like German football. Monsieur Spurs, chilling at me. Fair play. Here, I guess we'll have a wee look at some of these stories anyway. Lisandro Martinez isn't the only vocal player in the squad. His presence is seen as vital in creating a mentality and driving the squad on. We should have more leaders than that. You've got people who've won 5 Champions Leagues. It shouldn't just be Lisandro Martinez holding the team together. Despite United being interested in Yusuf Fofana last season, nothing concrete on the summer. At the moment, he's expected to be on the list of many clubs in this window, and he only has a year left on his current deal. Gelson Bremer is expected to be on United's list of names. I'm not a keen on Bremer, to be honest. I think he's overpriced. Todibo will cost around 40 million, and United will look at what the players' demands are in terms of a possible deal. Brandthwaite, price unknown. United want to make a decision once they know the price tag. Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka will be considered for sales in this summer. That's good. Those are players we need to sell. Christian Eriksen wants to have discussions soon with the club. He wants to be a regular player wherever he plays. Casemiro leaving in the summer is a big possibility. The Saudi Pro League interest and MLS interest is still there as well. That's from Fabrizio Romano. United are discussing the profile of striker they want, but it is a strong possibility they will go for an experienced team up top to provide competition and additional places up there as well. And talks regarding a possible deal for Michael Olise are expected to take place in the coming weeks, says Fabrizio Romano. So that's some of our latest news. That's some of our latest transfer news. I like some of them. We'll find out what happens. Time is key, says Connor. Connor is trusting the process, but I just don't know. Charles said Tuchel should take over, and Bart said, would I be on the agenda tonight or tomorrow? I think I'm on tomorrow, but you'll have to ask Bath time about that one. What else have we got as well? Connor, 19th, 19, 20, 8th, 20, 21, 8th, 21, 22, 5th, 22, 23, 2nd, 23, 24, 1st. Yeah, I mean, look, that's the Arsenal story. I just don't know where's our signs of progress, because that's what I worry about. And I'm not someone who's going to sit and scream here and think that sacking the manager is always going to be the right call. It's always going to give us what we want. It's always going to turn things around, because if it was going to happen, it would have worked after we sacked Moyes. It would have happened after we sacked Van Gaal. It would have happened after we sacked Jose Mourinho. It would have happened after we sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It would have happened after we sacked Ralph Rangnick. We have sacked 7 managers in the last 10 years. And we're about to sack Erik Ten Hag. He's probably going to be included on that. that is not the only thing that's going to fix our club. And these players do need to be gone. And a lot of them need to go. I think you look at 10 players easily, and I'll list them off. I'll list them off. For anyone who hasn't seen me before, I will list these players off. I think you get rid of Casemiro, you get rid of Eriksen, you get rid of Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, that's 4. I think Varane goes in the 3. I think Martial goes in the 3, that's 6. I think Sancho goes, that's 7. Greenwood goes, that's 8. Then I think Van de Beek goes, that's 9. Then I think you look McTominay, that's going to be 10. You look Maguire, that could be number 11. You look at potentially... moving on as well, Anthony, that could be 12. You look at questions over Rashford, that could be 13. I don't know what's going to happen there. So many players could go. So many players could go. And that's what we need to see. But I don't think we're going to get rid of them all in the first instance. As Sim said, Illy says injury prone. I'm sick of these bums. I think he's a fantastic player. I think the reason he's injury prone is because it looks worse than what it is. He's continually rushed back from injuries because Crystal Palace needed him under Roy Hodgson to make sure they didn't get relegated. Now it seems that they have a better team, they have a better structure, and they've got better players and a better system under Glasner. Every possibility that he ends up being a far less injury-prone player, because if he gets knocked, he can be rested. If he gets a niggle, he can be took off. He doesn't have to be played through hell and back as well all the time for his team. Guys, big ups to 16 likes. Big ups to Gani as well. Really do appreciate it, buddy. I think I sent a message from you in Discord. I'll have to get back to you soon as well on that there one. Connor wants Rashford gone. Greenwood better than Rashford. I think you sell. I mean, I think Greenwood's gone. And I think that's the easy thing for the club to do, and I think that's a guaranteed £30 million sale to a lot of top teams in Europe who would want him, to be honest. And I think that makes most sense. Big ups to Luman. It's about stopping the bleeding at the moment. If not, the reputation will be tarnished. Under Erik Ten Hag, he had a choice to stop City's treble, but he could not. I mean, there'd be elements of that, yeah. It's not... The reason the City did the treble wasn't Erik Ten Hag. You know, on the day, we made big mistakes and cost that game. Lucky Singh said players out FC. I agree with Lucky. I think we do need players out. And I think lots of them need to go. Lots of them need to be sold or moved on or let go on a free. As many as possible. And I think no European football next season, so that's no Conference League or Europa League at this point, is maybe a good thing, because that way we can justify getting rid of another 4 or 5 players in this summer transfer window. Trim that squad down. Try to get rid of 10 players this year. Bring 5 or 6 in. Next year you get rid of another 6 or 7 players, you bring 5 or 6 in. Then all of a sudden you got half a squad has been moved on, half a squad has been brought in. You promote some of your better young players and you've got a halfway decent squad after 2 years. And then from there you start to build that squad and grow and adapt to what changes you need. If you're struggling, if you're not quite getting the goals to fire you towards the top of the table, then you bring in a striker. If you shipping too many goals, maybe bring another defender in. You do and make big signings like what Arsenal have done. When Arsenal have brought Declan Rice in this summer to shore up that midfield, when they brought Havertz in to complete that forward line, you know, those are the types of signings you want to see. That's going to take you from this level to this level, take you to the next level. At the minute, what we have to do is what I said at the beginning of this show. We have to work to increasing the floor of this team. We need to work towards increasing the minimum level that we can get to, because a bad season for this group of Manchester United players is finishing 9th, 8th in the league. A bad season for Liverpool is finishing 5th. Last season was a bad season for them. They finished 5th. A bad season for City would be finishing 2nd. What you want to do is build up your minimum level so that if everything goes wrong, your big players don't perform all season long, you're not getting the goals, you're conceding too many, that the worst thing that happens is you finish 4th place. That's the level you want to get to. Fergie finished 3rd once in the Premier League era and it was seen as a disaster. That's kind of the level that you want to get back to, but it's a long way to go for that. Jarl said Ten Hag has 4 games to save face. Let's see what happens. Lose all 4, Thor's hammer will come down and launch Erik Ten Hag back to Ajax. It's hard to see us winning any of them, man. I don't think we beat Arsenal at Old Trafford. I don't think we beat Newcastle, and I would be very surprised if he went away to Brighton on the last day of the season and won there. And then you look at City in the FA Cup final, who will want to win that match, who will be determined to win that match. I don't give us much of a chance there either. Gary said, our managerial appointments have been poor. Why has none of them gone on to win the league after being sacked by United? Woodward was not a football person. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think what we need, I think is what we're going to get, is a club model that's going to be for the long-term sustainable growth of our club, to take us in a certain direction and bring us down a long and stable path, where changing your manager is not starting the cycle and needing to rebuild your entire team, where you have continuations and evolutions of your team, and you don't jump from hot to cold, north to south. That's what I think we're going to be going for. And I think, according to all of the reports coming out, that we're going to be having a head coach, which I'm excited about, because that means if it is Thomas Tuchel, if it is Amorim, if it is anybody else who comes in as manager, or even if it's Erik Ten Hag who stays on, their job is to coach the team. It is not to be in charge of transfers. It is not to be in charge of recruitment. It's not going to be in charge of running the club, handing out disciplinaries, chasing up players, going after players, ringing agents. It's not going to be on that. Their job is going to be to get the best out of the team on the pitch every single match, and that's going to be their responsibility. And that's the best way to work it, because we've spent the last 15 years trying to replace the irreplaceable. We have tried to replace Sir Alex Ferguson, who was a head coach, who was the manager, who was director of football, who was a transfer negotiator, who was the contract negotiator, who was the long-term planner, head of academy, everything rolled into one alongside David Gill. So it's a far easier job to have capable, talented people look at one area of that at a time. Dan Ashworth looks after your footballing matters. Jason Wilcox links your entire club system together. Omar Barada oversees the club as a whole, commercially and in terms of the sports side of that. You have Blanc and you have Brailsford focusing on getting the most out of the club and looking at the big vision, the long-term vision. You have your manager focused on coaching the players, and you have the players hopefully focused on playing as well as they can for your team. And that's going to be an interesting one as well. That's maybe something we haven't spoke about. You know, we talk a lot about the increased structure, the better plans. It's going to get us good players brought in the transfer windows. What is going to be the plan to make the players hungry? What is going to be the plan to make sure that the players are not quitters? Like, you get people in with good attitudes, good mentalities, good mindsets, good vibes, who want to be there, who want to work, who will run through walls for our team. That's going to be an interesting question. How do we do that? And that's going to be down to the people who have come in to run this football club. It's going to be down to them to ensure that we can do that. Can they do it? I guess we're going to find out in the months to come, in the years to come, and we will be sitting here in 2 or 3 years, probably still evaluating what has happened under the NEO's leadership, what has happened since they've took over. And it might be really good, it might be the same, it might get worse, but at least it's going to be different, and at least we're giving it a go in a way different than what we have done so far. And if that's going to be with Erik Ten Hag, so be it. I don't think it personally will be. I think he's going to get sacked. That's my opinion. You guys, of course, you have your own opinions as well, but who knows what's going to happen. Gani said Ten Hag has had 4 windows, 400 million plus. That is more than enough time to change the whole squad. It's partly down to the manager. I agree. He's got to do better. Players have to do better. And the board and the club have to do better. This isn't an issue that has happened in the last 9 months for this season. This is not an issue that has happened in the last year and a half, 2 years under Erik Ten Hag's leadership. This is not a 5-year problem going back to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. This is not a 10-year problem going back to Louis van Gaal and Moyes. This isn't a 15-year problem. This has been a 20-year problem at our football club. The rot has sunk in. It's very difficult to change things around, but we have to try to do that. And ultimately, the reason we are where we are is because we haven't been run right for the last 20 years of our football club. And that goes beyond Erik Ten Hag or any other manager at the club. That will go to the ownership, that will go to the board of directors. And the minimum flooring of our team is not good enough. And I bang on about this term all the time. Minimum flooring, the lowest you can go. You look at Liverpool last year, that was a really bad season. They finished 5th. You know, that's the thing. Chatsport said, Sancho, Champions League football tonight. Yes, Champions League is just getting underway as well, guys. So I'm actually going to leave up the stream here. Make sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. And as well, guys, if you are new, please consider hitting that sub button. Really appreciate all the support. Had a really good stream tonight. Talked about a lot of frustrations and a lot of emotions over the last couple of days. And I will be live again tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to doing it all again then. Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate everyone turning out tonight, guys. And I'll catch everyone in the next one.